A recent Pew poll indicates that Americans have lost confidence in their exceptionalism. I'm Allen Barton. Stand by for Front Page. Joining me in the studio, Terry Jones, Associate Editor for Investors Business Daily. Yaron Brook is not here. He took a job with the SEIU as a consultant. It's a little strange, but apparently that's what he wants to do right now. All right, in a recent Pew poll, 49% of respondents agreed with the following statement, quote, "Our people are not perfect, but our culture is superior to others," unquote. And that's down from 60% in 2002, 55% in 2007. So, Terry, what do you think of this poll? Is it a valid read on Americans' view of its culture? And do you think that it's decreasing with time here? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's. I think the Pew people have done this over the years, so it's a valid poll. And you know, it's sad and tragically sad, I think, because I think America is a very special place, and Americans should feel that it's a special place and that we have a special
role taking a devil's advocate, I mean, President Obama himself was asked of this question, I think, early on in his presidency. He said, well, I believe in American exceptionalism the way Greeks believe in Greek exceptionalism, and the French believe in French exceptionalism, and he seemed to take umbrage at the concept that Americans should consider themselves exceptional. Why do you think we should?
Yeah, so as somebody recently said, President Obama thinks we're just another country with a flag. Well, I think we should, because we are the one nation that was formed around an ideal. And that ideal included freedom for everyone, and it included an embodiment of a guarantee of human rights well before anybody else contemplated such an idea. And even the French Revolution, which tried to do the same thing, came to much grief and blood. And you know, we've had a number of wars over the years where people have, you know, our people have fought to maintain these ideals in the world, and I think America is a very special place. We've always opened our doors to others and to the ideas of others, and for people to think that we're just like the others around the world, I think that's kind of a sad commentary.
All right, in the Pew survey, when it came to the views of individualism and the role of the state, 58% of Americans said that, quote, "It is more important for everyone to be free to pursue their life goals without interference from the state," unquote, versus 35% who said the state should play a more active role to help those in need. All right, so we can take a little hope in that. Does this bode well for conservatives? I mean, 2010 was a very interesting election. 2008, there was a big movement towards Obama I think for a number of reasons not related to his actual competence or what they thought his viewpoint may be. And then 2010, a short time, I mean, almost really 18 months, big smackdown on everything that he was doing at federal, state, local level, the biggest rollback of sort of big government liberalism in 60 years. So do you see, I mean, you've got the Occupy movement, which is attracting a lot of attention. Do you see that Americans still have a viewpoint and a liking for the sense of individual freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. And contrary to what the media and Occupy Wall Street people would have you believe, most Americans are more Tea Party-ish than they are Occupy Wall Street-ish. They are far more conservative. As a recent, I believe it was a Rasmussen poll showed 42% of Americans identify themselves as conservatives, while just 21% identify themselves as liberals. And as this Pew poll shows, people still believe that they can control their lives, that they control their destiny, and that they don't want state doing it.
Well, if that's the case, why is it then that we have such a hard time controlling the size of government and the spending of government, which is on a staggering amount of increase? And even when Republicans have been in office, it's not like it went down. We've talked before about how the number X of government spending, whatever that dollar amount, it has not gone down.
Yeah.
In decades.
There are two reasons, in my opinion. One is that the relentless message in both the media and academia is that big government is good, less government is bad. Less government equals chaos and poverty. Big government equals order and wealth. It's a totally false idea, but that's the idea that's pushed forward. But you know, even more so, I think, you know, Americans right now today, 49% of Americans get some kind of benefit from the federal government. And that's dangerously close to 50%. And cutting benefits of any sort, Social Security, Medicare, jobless benefits, anything, is very, very difficult because it hurts people in an immediate sense, even if it's going to help them in the long run.
All right, in a discussion with the McLaughlin Group, New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman laid out 5 pillars to bring America back to greatness. This is in relation to his new book, That Used to Be Us. He said, "We argue that what made America great was that we had an amazing public-private partnership in this country. And the public side that enabled the private sector and all of our growth these years was built on 5 pillars. 1, we educated our people up to and beyond whatever the technology was, whether it was the cotton gin or the supercomputer, so they could get the most out of it. 2nd, we had the world's best infrastructure, roads, airports, telecom. 3rd, we had the most open immigration policy to attract the brightest minds in the world and the most energetic people to start 30 to 40% of the companies every year in Silicon Valley. 4th, we had the best rules for capital formation, incentivizing risk-taking, preventing recklessness. And lastly, we had the most government-funded research to push out the boundaries of science and physics and chemistry." I saw this interview with him, and obviously the book's been getting a lot of attention. He gets a lot of attention, both good and bad. What do you think of his main premise here, which is that there used to be this much more effective public-private partnership, and that we've lost our way? He thinks government itself has become demonized on the right so much that they've forgotten the good things that it can do and has done.
Yeah, it's utter nonsense. I mean, it's just quickly resorting to the government's own tables. You see that government spending today is at a higher level as a share of GDP than it's ever been, and by a significant factor. It's 25% of GDP today. Typically in the past, even in the post-war era, it was 20%, and before that it was 15, 10, 5%. It's just utter nonsense. He mentions, for instance, R&D. When I heard these comments, I actually went and looked up the R&D statistics. I was interested to see if he was actually saying something true. No, it's utterly false. Government R&D as a share of GDP peaked in 1962. We built the internet revolution, we built the social networking revolution, all these things with a declining share of government R&D. This is not true that we need government spending to do all these things. In fact, a broader participation of the private sector in these things is what built our economy.
Well, he's really big on infrastructure. I mean, the guy you can't get Thomas Friedman in a conversation where he doesn't mention the airport in Singapore or something, or in Hong Kong as a symbol of the rise of Asia at America's expense, because their airports are really cool. Is there a point that he's trying to make that is valid in some way, or is it just, I keep on going like, when's the airport comment? There it is. There's the airport comment about Hong Kong airport, flying to LAX. It's a travesty.
Well, there's a lot to be said for infrastructure, but it should be useful. And let's go ahead and talk about China. China has what are now known as ghost towns. They've built these massive towns.
Yeah, I've seen satellite photographs of these. These are cities. These aren't little towns.
These are
cities,
massive infrastructure projects, really great, but nobody lives in them. Look at their high-speed train. Their high-speed train has no riders on it because actually it can't go high speeds. Right. It just is called a high-speed train because China's rail system is too congested. So the fact of the matter is, they're not building, ultra-modern infrastructure that's going to put us to shame. They're building basically works project kinds of things, the kind of things we did during the Depression era. And I think this is the rottenness at the heart of the Chinese economy and why it's going to probably end up collapsing soon.
All right, well, getting back to our thesis, do you believe that American exceptionalism via what has happened with Obama over 3 years and what is likely to happen over this next year in terms of the debate, do you think it will experience a resurgence?
I hope so, and I hope whoever the Republican candidate is, and I think if it's one of the leading candidates, they should be able to make the case that America is a special place. Our openness to ideas, our willingness to work hard, to innovate, to invest, our protection for individual rights, which has made us probably the most unique country on earth. I think all of these things together make America a very special place, and it would be sad if somebody couldn't make that case against Obama's doom and gloom.
All right, thank you very much, Terry. I'm Allen Barton. You've been watching Front Page.